everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha. If you're new, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. Today I want to show you the eyeshadow palettes, quads, whatever in my collection that I do not have pan in yet. This is not including any of my singles. I have plenty of those, and if you would like to see the singles that I do not have pan on, let me know in the comments below. We're going to go ahead and get started. So yeah. First up, we got all of my quads from Copacetic Cosmetics. And that's a lot of my singles. So, I mean, this could really count as singles, but since I bought the quad, I'm concluding them in a palette video. This is the Fall Harvest palette. Let me open it up. This is a beautiful palette. I'm very surprised that I have not hit pan on any of these shades, especially these flakies. They're so beautiful. I am not the best at swatching them, so I will not be doing that. But this is definitely a palette I reach for during the fall season. I could say that I would feel like I would hit pan on this shade, or this flaky, I guess, before anything else in this one. That's a really bad swatch of it, but it is such a beautiful color. Which one is that? That one is called Cinnamon Spice. So the Cinnamon Spice shade. Actually, no, it's not. That is called Butternut Squash. My bad. I was looking at it upside down and backwards. So I would feel like I would hit pan on this. And I feel like I'm going to do... I want to do that with each of these palettes is pick a shade I think I'm going to hit pan on if I'm close or just gravitated towards. This next one, I like using these together. This is another fall vibed palette. This is Frosted Foliage. Sorry. I've actually been reaching for this one quite a bit. These two shimmers are absolutely gorgeous, especially for like a nude look. Oh, gorgeous. So I would have to say either of these two diagonal shades. Either Primrose, which is this one, or Purist. I'm horrible at pronouncing things, so I do apologize. But yeah, there's that quad. Next up, we have the Witching Hour. This is a collab with M. Jones 5018 over on Instagram. I love this palette. That nice, beautiful green flaky, this flaky, just the purple and the orange. I have used this purple quite a bit. It's very beautiful. So, and I also really like this orange. I've been using this orange as a highlighter. So I don't see myself hitting pan on it anytime soon, but I've been using this shade as just a different highlighter. I'm not using it today, but that's what I've been using that shade for, and I've been really enjoying it. So I feel like I'm very close to the Witching Hour having pan. Just like up here, it's a little lower than everywhere else, and I feel like if I concentrate and focus my brush in that area, I could hit pan very easily. Up next, I believe this is one of the first quads I've purchased, and this is Frozen Treat. I am super, super close to hitting pan in this Pineapple Anise shade. It is a flaky, but it is so gorgeous. And I just need to buckle down and use this shade a few more times and just hit pan. So that's what I think. But I love all of these shades. And if you are keeping a theme from here on out, orange and greens are going to be very prominent in all of these palettes. Just because I love the shades. Next up, we have the Juicy Watermelon palette. I have not used this palette nearly enough, but look how beautiful. Look how beautiful that pink shade is. I'm running out of places to swatch, but I mean, there's just beautiful shades in this palette. I feel like this one, the shades are quite a bit softer than some of the other ones. Maybe because I just haven't reached for them. This one right here would also be a very pretty highlight shade, I believe. It's All You See Is Love, is this like light green. So yeah, that's that one. Up next, we have the Celestial Flames palette, or quad, and this is a collab with Pan the Replay over on Instagram. Elise is really worked hard on this one, and just, I really got this palette to support her, and this is such a beautiful color story. This shade right here, Blossom, is one of my favorites. I don't know if you can see that. I might need to swatch it in a different spot. So we're just going to keep going like on my hand. So this one right here, it's so beautiful. I have not used the shade nearly enough. This shade down here, Scorpio, did break. So there is not nearly as much shadow in it. So if I was to pick a shadow that I think I'm going to hit pan in this palette, it would be that one. And then 96, repping for the 96 babies, including myself. This beautiful acid green. I just love it. I love it. And then I have one full palette from Copacetic Cosmetics, and it is the Companion palette. This is also in collaboration with M. Jones 5018. I have not used this palette nearly enough either. But I have used this purple flaky, which is gorgeous. I like how these all look white, like these three shades. And even this top, like minty green, it almost has like a white tone to it. But it is like different enough, I would say, to include all of these in this palette and not, you know, be mad about, if that makes sense. So I feel like every one of these, like almost white toned ones, have a place in this palette. I just don't reach for it nearly enough. Like this almost orange, creamsicle orange. Oh, beautiful. And I think it's funny that there's only like one. Is this a matte? Or is that a shimmer? I can't even remember. That's how long ago it's been since I've reached for this palette. I believe that might be a shimmer as well. So there's literally no mattes in this palette. So maybe that is why it's also called the Companion palette. I know it is named after their pets. So there is that, but this definitely would be a nice companion palette for like an all matte eyeshadow palette. So there is that. Moving right along, I have a Sugar Drizzle palette. This is the Paint Me Green and Call Me a Pickle. Because I'm done dealing with you eyeshadow palette. I love this palette. This is another one that I'm so tempted just to swatch for all of you, but I will not be doing that today. I feel like I'm super close to hitting pan in the shade Dill Pickles. I will swatch this one just because it's a beautiful, it is such a beautiful shade. Right there, if you can see it. And then I'm also really close in Dill Pickle. So this one, right there. So we know we love me some greens, but like this palette, including other shades other than greens, this would actually look really pretty with my eye look today. This pickle juice one really impressed me because when I think of a pickle palette, you think of just a green palette, and they've really outdid themselves with the multi shifts, and then, you know, the two matte greens, which, you know, we all expected. We all expected matte greens in this palette, but I just really love how they did this concept. And I did just end up swatching all of these. I knew I would. But I really like the concept and how they have the greens, but then they also have the green that's the shifty, and then this purple is completely left field and unexpected. This palette kind of reminds me of the look that I created today with my Dude You Pay My Battleship palette. So I do think I should be hitting pan soon on either dill pickles or in a pickle. And the last three palettes in my collection that I do not have pan on are all three Beauty Bay palettes. The first two are a set. This is the My Freaky Diary. This is the Deuce Romance palette. Lots of pinks, purplies kind of thing. I don't think I've even swatched this color. This is like a muted purple. Very cool toned, which I think goes well with these two blues. But there's not really much to say about this palette. Kind of thing. I don't know. The glitters are, like, the shimmers are really nice. I do like these shimmers. Like, this pink and blue are really pretty. Trying not to swatch all of them in this palette for you, but and then the mattes for me, for Beauty Bay, at least on this palette, are okay. They're not my favorite formula, but, like, I can make them work, so there's that. So I do think I would hit pan in either of these two shimmers before any of the mattes. Next up, this is the Nebulux Secret. This one. I've actually not used this palette, I think, fully yet, which, if you would like a video using this palette, look at this green. Oh my god. Why have I not used that yet? Why have I not used this palette yet? So if you would like to see a video using this palette, let me know. I do feel like I might save this comment for a little bit later, but there's like three really nice shimmers. So this neon, like sour candy as they call it, raw, which is a black glitter shade. Look at that. Oh, which you could also use as a matte. So that kind of irritates me that there's two blacks in here, because I feel like it accomplishes the same look. Because if you blend raw out, it's going to be almost exactly the same as this 2009 shade. And then the last shimmer in here is called Negan. And when I think of that, all I can think of is The Walking Dead, but it's beautiful, like chocolatey brown shade. So, I'm very happy with that. Again, the mattes I could take or leave for the most part. I really love this turquoise and this other blue shade. But I feel they're a little powdery. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I feel like at least these two are powdery. Like powdery. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Up next, I have actually the palette I'm using for Dupe You Pay My Battleship with Verity over at Red Dirt and Stardust here on YouTube and on Instagram. This palette I have worked on quite a bit. I did pre-film my intro for the intro of this project. And slightly used this palette here and there since doing that. But no changes as of yet. And I actually used this palette to create this look today, along with a little help from the Riviera palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. But this palette reminds me a lot of this palette. I feel like these two palettes could be companion palettes. This could be a mini version of this. I know how Natasha Denona palettes, like their big palettes are one way, and then like their 6 pans are just like complements to it and not necessarily the same shades. I feel like that's what this is to this palette. And even some of the shades, I feel like Virtual and Raw are literally the same. That shimmery, silvery black. There is 2 blacks in this palette as well, which irritates me. They could have used one of these blacks for another purple shade or something to complement this blue. Just my opinion. There is actually a shade in this one called Slime and in this one called Slime. I do believe they are slightly different. Yeah, I think very, very slight. Yeah. Very, very slight differences there. And let's see if there was any other comparisons I wanted to pull out. Other than the blacks, I'm not going to swatch the blacks for you guys, just because they're too messy. But if you wanted the Dark Fantasy palette, or you wanted this one, get one or the other, I would suggest. I don't think it's really worth having them both, but that's just my opinion. So in 2024, I would like to hopefully have no palettes without pan. So I may decide to do a version of pan those eyeshadows like I started earlier this year, or was it last year? I don't know. Everything's kind of rolling together for me at this point. But focus on these palettes, because this one I'm going to be focusing on anyway, and go from there and try to hit pan on these palettes and quads that no longer, or that do not have pan on them already, and try to get my pan percentages up. I have not purchased any new eyeshadow palettes. There is one that I'm really wanting, but I haven't bit the bullet yet and purchased it, because I'm like, I have all these eyeshadows in my collection that don't even have pan in them yet. So I'm trying to keep that in mind and be a little more conscious about my purchases. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out my channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.